With the three movies in this trilogy and more time spent with these intruders, how do you feel you still retain that mystery of their sadistic behavior and random act of violence summed up in that amazing final line, because you were home?
I think that, I don't know if you're like me, but since I saw the original movie 15 years ago, these questions were lingering in my mind, like why and what, and partially that's what made the movie great, that you didn't know. So, like Courtney mentioned, we are answering some of those questions. By the third movie, you'll understand some things that you never knew before. But I know that we leave so many unanswered questions, new unanswered questions at the end of the third movie, that I think that will give that satisfaction or irritation to the audience again, which is, well, now we have to watch another three to find out what did that mean.
But we did spend a lot of time on exactly that question, to answer your question. And so, as we take it forward, we sustain it. So, in chapter 2, and even for a great portion of chapter 3, we sustain exactly that palpable tension and exactly that wonderment as to why is this happening and who are these people. But what we do is we allow you not enough to figure it out to be true, nor did we intend to do that, but we sustain who that is and why it's happening. We take you to a different place where we actually looked at what would be the answer, or what could be the answer, a plausible answer to exactly that question and who these killers really are. And I think we did a very, true job of it. And when Renny's talking about the way it ends, it's not so much it's surprising, it stays true. I think is the better, not necessarily better, but the way I would say it, and I always felt it was, I didn't want it to be an ending that, sort of like, I went through all of this, I went through the 280-page thing, and this is what I got. It's like watching the end of Game of Thrones or something. I mean, I don't know. Sorry. Let's go over here.
Hey, there are two quick questions. The first one, how long are we going to have to wait after the first one gets released before the second one's going to get released, and the third one? Like, realistically, what type of time frame are we looking at?
So our favorite question, right? Because this is the one that we ask the studio every day. So what we pray for and what we've been hoping for, and I think everybody feels really good about, is because we made them all, because they're all going to be ready to go, what we would love to do is make that window as short as possible, right? So the idea is that, like, in our minds, and we've pitched it really hard, the first one comes out, and literally like 2 to 3 months later, the second one's out, and 2 to 3 months later, the third one's out, and so everybody can enjoy the conversation for a nice short period of time between movies, because we create all these Easter eggs and fun things to talk about, and then the next one comes and everybody's excited for the next one. So it feels like that, and it's sort of like, it's a new way of doing it, I guess, but it all just came from this crazy idea of there's a bigger story to tell, so we're making a giant movie, and as it turns out, we have 3 chapters. So I feel like all of it will come in 24.
We have a lot of folks with questions, so I want to spread the wealth. Thank you, though, for that. Appreciate it. Let's go over here.
Yeah, so you have this 280-page document that turned out to be a screenplay. What was the aha moment for you that told you that you had that? After they said that they had the rights to strangers, what was the aha moment that told you that you had something that was that length that you wanted to tell the story about? And then obviously, like, visually too.
Frankly, when my friend called me, I was like, you want to remake The Strangers? Like, it's kind of scary, it's kind of daunting, because by many people, it's truly a beloved horror movie, and a lot of us really love it. So, sure, we can all, say, well, there was this imperfection in the movie or that imperfection in the movie, whatever, but generally speaking, it made a certain statement and found a certain place within the genre. So it was daunting, and I said, I think that if we're going to do it, we need to look at it and see how we can tell a bigger story here, and also, answer a lot of questions that people had, and then create some new ones, because it's just boring if we just answer them, but we don't stay in the original vein of the original Strangers even to the end. So the aha moment was probably about 2 weeks after, when I sort of thought I had a brilliant idea, but if I look back on it now, it was just like the germ of what was a brilliant idea, to be honest, and there's so much hard work and collaboration with Renny and Mads and so many talented and great people that we were fortunate enough to have, but that was about it, 2 weeks after that.
We have time for one very quick question and one very quick answer. Finish strong, it's all on you.
Cool. The original Strangers movie had a lot of moments that kind of stood out for me personally. Like one of the scenes that stood out the most was the moment where she was on the ground and we hear the footsteps running up and they hit her. So like those kinds of moments were really like pivotal in the movie. That stuck with me the entire time since the first time it came out. Did you take moments from that first film like that and try to recreate them in another way? Like in the preview, we saw the person walk in the background kind of like they did in the first movie. So were there other scenes like that where you said these were iconic moments in the first film and redid them in a new way?
Yes, I would say definitely that we wanted to be faithful to the first movie in a sense that though this is a retelling of that story and we're doing it in our way, we felt that there were those touchstones, that the markers that should be there, so that for the fans like you, it gives that satisfaction. Like for me, I'm a huge fan of this movie, so I get that satisfaction of like that's that emotion in that situation, even if it's a little bit tweaked. And then for the new audience, it feels of course very, very fresh. But definitely, I think we would be letting down the fans if we said we're just taking the title, but we're just making a completely different thing. But that's the first movie, and then we go on from there.
Definitely, the answer is 100% yes. And the shock of the moment that you talk about and the sort of stark brutality of it exists in a different way, but it exists exactly based on what that idea and concept was. The terror of a guy standing there looking at her for 50 seconds and she doesn't know, in that mask, which is one of the more chilling moments was for me of the original Strangers. We have our version. So all those things is where we call sort of paying homage to the original and making sure that those important aspects would be definitely present, but not the same, but definitely present for what they represented and what they did to make the first movie so effective and so jarring. So,
I feel bad for the gentleman who was standing there. Why don't you run to the mic and ask your question?
Clock is ticking.
Because I felt bad for
50 seconds, guys.
Thank you. It'll be a really quick question. Brian Bertino, the director of the 2008 film The Strangers, said that he was inspired by the 2006 French film Them. Did you guys ever see the movie Them, the French home invasion horror film?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
It's also one of my favorites.
Yes.
It's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the bad news is we're out of time. I have some good news before we end this panel. One, well, you know this already. You have 3 Strangers movies in the can. These guys are hard at work on them. They're going to be awesome in 2024. That's the most important thing. But if you want to stay abreast on everything, there are QR codes on the screens here. Make sure to scan that. That'll give you updates on everything coming up in the Strangers. And I want to show you one more thing that's pretty damn cool. We've got some posters on the way out, guys. Did I have that the right? Oh, there we go. That way? Yeah.
And if I'm correct,
Very cool. One more.
sorry, if I'm correct, there's only 100 of these in the world, and they are signed by us.
Some of
We're
them
the only people in the world who will
Some
get
of
them.
them are signed by Renny and Courtney. So congratulations, guys. Courtney Solomon, Renny Harlin, The Strangers, coming back 2024.
Thank you very much. Thank you.